And welcome. You're watching Race to Power with me, Ananya Dattas. Let's start talking politics and elections. Now, Donald J. Trump is set to become the next president of the United States. Two swing state results are still not out, but that is how resounding his win has been. Before elections, it all seemed neck and neck. But as votes started to be cast, it all came down to the lines of race, gender and class. Now, with the results out, it seems like it was bread and butter all the way. We have a lot to unpack about American and global politics. Let's quickly get you all the updates. Now, this image on your screen is making headlines. You will see Donald Trump with his children, their spouses and grandchildren. But on the extreme right of his family photo is Elon Musk, and not alone, with his wife and son. How this optics plays out in the real cabinet is something we are closely tracking. And speaking of the cabinet, here are some names that could be in the Trump camp. The man in the photo, of course, as we were saying, Elon Musk, he turned into a full-fledged cheerleader for Trump and holds billions in federal contracts. He has reportedly sought a role in a second Trump administration. Mike Pompeo, former CIA director and Secretary of State and devoted ally of Trump, chose not to challenge his ex-boss for the Republican nomination. Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a presidential hopeful himself, but threw his hat behind Trump in the last moment. He is the son of the assassinated Bobby Kennedy and nephew of JFK. He strongly believes he has a shot at a role in Trump's cabinet after he backed the Republican. Richard Grenell is an ex-Fox News contributor who is among Trump's closest foreign policy advisors. He's probably in the running for Secretary of State or other top foreign policy and national security posts. Now, the Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris lost the election, and in a rare show, Harris offered an uplifting and positive charge to her supporters as she conceded.
The outcome of this election is not what we wanted, not what we fought for, not what we voted for, but hear me when I say, the light of America's promise will always burn bright. As long as we never give up and as long as we keep fighting. My allegiance to all three is why I am here to say, while I concede this election, I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign.
And to take this story further, we are being joined by VOA Chief National Correspondent Steve Herman from the battleground state of Georgia, which in this election has gone the red camp's way. Steve, good to see you.
Good to be here.
How have the people received the election result?
Well, I think among the people I've been talking to here in Gwinnett County, one of the swing counties in this swing state of Georgia, the Trump supporters are very happy, saying they got the man back into office that they wanted. The Harris supporters, I think, were on election night in a state of disbelief, did not believe that she would lose Georgia and lose the election, and are coming around to the reality that there is going to be a second Trump administration.
Right. Also, how are you reading the victory photo, Steve, of Donald Trump?
Well, this obviously, as you pointed out, was about bread and butter issues. There were a lot of other concerns that especially Kamala Harris talked about, the threat to American democracy by agreeing with those who had called Donald Trump a fascist, and also talking about reproductive rights, the very contentious issue in this country about the right to an abortion. But it seems like voters, including a lot of women, put those concerns aside and really focused on the economy, namely blaming her and Joe Biden for the high prices, the result of inflation globally that occurred in wake of the pandemic. And I also think a lot of this is about people wanting to feel empowered. Donald Trump, with his populist message, strikes a chord with people who feel that that things aren't fair here anymore. That no matter how hard you work or what education you get, you're not going to be able to succeed. And there is a widening gap between the elites and the well-off and those who are struggling. And a lot of those people decided that they liked what Donald Trump was saying, and whether he's the best guy to fix it or they just want to send a message to the establishment, that all depends on the individual voter.
We're also hearing that the President Joe Biden is expected to address the nation in an hour or so. What should one expect?
Yes, we expect that to occur in about 90 minutes. I guess you could say this may be one of the final major speeches we hear from Joe Biden, because, of course, he will leave office the moment that Donald Trump is inaugurated in January. And I think his message will be similar to what we heard from Kamala Harris earlier, calling for national unity, to keep on fighting the good fight, but to say that there will be, as Kamala Harris said yesterday, a peaceful transfer of power. Now, we may find it remarkable for the president or the vice president to say that in the United States of America. But of course, this was a jab at Donald Trump for what happened 4 years ago when he lost the election, would not concede, and there was acts of violence at the U.S. Capitol, of course, trying to prevent that peaceful transfer of power.
All right, Steve, thank you so much for all those updates as well as your insights. Good to speak to you.
My pleasure.